Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Radcast of the Social Club at the end of this world and the beginning of the next world that we're all co-creating here. I'm Jamin Shively, happy to be joined by my guests who will introduce themselves as they wish. For a quick agenda here, we're going to start with personal updates, as we usually begin with. Then I'm going to give a brief introduction to the Social Club at the end of this world, its origins, its philosophy, and ground rules and such. And then after that, I will continue with the next segment, which will be a brief review and update of the pilgrimage that we're doing, the Laudato Si pilgrimage. And after that, I will introduce Shelley and Jan, who are joining us from Israel, on the topic of 24 hours of wholeness. And then we'll open it up from there. Some folks will only be able to be here for 30, 45 minutes or so, whatever the case. So that's fine. People are absolutely welcome to come and go. I know Jamie will be joining us a little late today. So with that, let's go to personal updates, and we'll go. Oh, and Adam is doing us the favor of monitoring chats on YouTube. Some people just like to watch in real time, and then they submit questions or comments. So Adam is very kindly monitoring that. Thank you, Adam. All right, and so personal updates. We're going to start left to right, like I talked about. So Adam, Dan, Miles, that would be the order for starters, followed by Salish, Shelley, and Jan. So I will, whoever's ready to start there in that order. Adam, you got a personal update for us? Okay, take it away, Adam.
Okay, well, a lot's happening on my side. I haven't posted anything here in about a month, but I've been regrouping and hired a couple guys to help me and get organized and build a new website. And I bought some new equipment. In fact, these are new headphones, and I've got a new computer and set up. And so I'm developing a new website, and it's going to be called aworldwithoutmoney.org. And I just had a little regrouping today, more regrouping. So I was hoping it would come out next week, but I think, or this week, but it might be a little bit longer. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. And I'll just in there. Thanks.
Beautiful, Adam. Thank you. Dan, you got an update for us? And welcome, Michael. Dan, take it away. Take it away.
Yeah, hi, Dan from Chicago. I'll give you guys a quick update. I've been involved, as I have recently, in the Chicago political scene. You know, we had mayoral election. Lori Lightfoot is the mayor-to-be in Chicago. Unfortunately, we've seen an upsurge in racial tribalism that has evolved in part because of the election of the mayor and the kind of well-known Jussie Smollett situation. And I hate to see it in Chicago. Chicago is always a city where, we have essentially Caucasian population, Hispanic, something, the brown population, and then the black population. It's about equally divided, a third, and a third. And racial tribalism is always there, waiting to erupt. And unfortunately, it has. So I've been trying to participate in that conversation. I've also been concerned with the other thing in the United States. We have this endless kind of a fetish concerning Donald Trump, and it's just I think now finally the progressive liberal community in the United States will be able to let go of it. They have to let go of the attachment to the Donald Trump fetish, or it's going to be impossible again to have any kind of common interest pursued in the country. And then finally, I've gone back to doing some mental health presentations, which I really enjoy doing. It's kind of like, it reminds me of Guy McPherson saying how much, he likes doing teaching about abrupt climate change. I always feel so good when I'm able to just give one of these mental health presentations. The audiences are small, but they appreciate it. And I just, kind of love doing it. So I've been doing that. That's kind of my update for right now. I'll go ahead and mute out.
Great. Thank you, Dan. Really glad you're here. Michael, who just joined, I want to welcome. We're doing personal updates now. So Michael, if you want to give a personal update, you can do so now or at the end. And thanks everyone for muting. I see we're all muted. Oh, go for it, Michael. Take it away, Michael.
Well, I don't think I have too much of an update. I was just tuning in, as I have on occasion, to this wonderful conclave. Yeah, just, I've tuned into the Extinction Rebellion circle here in the Bay Area. And as you probably have seen.
Yeah, Jamin, I can't hear Michael. I can't hear it.
Yeah, you're
can't hear me.
Faint. I can hear you, Michael, but pretty faint. So go.
Okay,
carry
I'll
on.
come closer. Yeah. So anyway, I just am connected with the Extinction Rebellion groups here in the Bay Area, and I was delighted to see their activity around the world this past weekend, and but really, I'm just kind of listening in, and Jamin, look forward to more of an update with you later too. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
that.
Sorry, I don't have too much to offer this morning.
All right. No. That's fine. That's fine. You never need to apologize on the social club. And since Dan may not have heard, Michael's been participating in Extinction Rebellion there in San Francisco, and has introduced me to some of the folks there, which I greatly appreciate. And Michael and I collaborate on radish.org, among other things. So up next is Miles. Take it away.
Good morning or evening, wherever you are. My name is Miles, and I live here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And I am a settler on Treaty 7 territory of the Niitsitapi and Tsuut'ina nations, among others. I say settler, although my grandparents came to Canada before World War I in around 1908, 1910. And that's a complexity that I'm struggling with. It's a concept I just recently learned from psychology. There's a concept of jamais vu as opposed to déjà vu. Déjà vu is the sense that you've been someplace before, and jamais vu is a concept of you've been in a place for a very, very long time, and all of a sudden you're realizing you don't recognize it. And that is what I'm contending with in my waking up to a lot of local deceptions, and namely the treatment of First Nations people in Canada. So I continue to explore that, and I find a very deep connection with what Salish has been talking about on his climate healers, and I see a real drive or draw to his worldview, and how it very much bridges or connects with the indigenous worldview of walking softly on the planet. I also jokingly say that if I had hair, it would be on fire right now with all that's going on, this exposing of things that you just didn't realize. And so today is voting day in Alberta for a premier, a provincial election. And one of the strange things that is not being talked about, but I just this week joined a group that is trying to bring awareness to the fact that our oil sands, or tar sands as you've heard of them perhaps, no doubt, they've been so very badly mismanaged that our own Alberta energy regulator is saying that we're going to be facing a $240 billion, that's a B, billion-dollar unaccrued liability for environmental cleanup. So anyway, some of the things I'm involved with, but most excitingly is the concept, what I'm learning about psychology, and with a person who gets invited here, Skip Conover. He studies Jung, Carl Jung, and he's excited that this new pop group from Korea, BTS, is raising awareness of mental health and the concepts of Jung. So that's exciting. Thank you.
Great, Miles. Thank you so much for that great update. All right, next in the queue I want to welcome my sister Victoria, who just joined us from Oklahoma. Next in the queue, if you'd like to give a personal update, are Salish, Shelly and Jan, and Victoria, followed by me. So Salish, if you're ready, take it away.
Sure. Yes, so I just finished the third part of my webinar series on Saturday. And that's talking about the social aspects of how not to go extinct. And this was about making humanity belong again. So presenting a worldview, as Mike Miles was saying, presenting a worldview in which we do belong exactly as we are. And in the process of that, we are going to be transforming ourselves into another world. And I have in California, I have an opportunity to speak to 1st to 3rd graders, 180 of them during Earth Week. So right after our meeting in Berkeley, so I'm going to be going down to San Jose to give talk to 1st to 3rd graders. So I'm preparing for that. That's the most important talk that I've ever done in my life. And so I'm going to my granddaughter's school on Thursday for a dry run on that talk. So it's about 45 minutes, talking to them about the Earth, the story of the Earth, and story of humanity on the Earth. So that's my personal update. I'm happy to see Shelly and Jan on the call. I think Shelly has done, they both have done so much for the transformation of humanity. And I think at least in this call, we should have an opportunity to hear from them on deconstructing democracy and all the other work that Shelly has done with Together in Creation. Okay, thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Salish. All right. Well, next up in the order, if you'd like to give a personal update now, Shelly and Jan, you're welcome to do so, or you can wait until your segment. It's totally up to you. Looks like you prefer to wait. That's totally fine. Okay, very good. Or you wanted to give an update now or later?
Later is fine.
Perfect. Very good. Very good. All right. And Sister Victoria, do you want to give an update now? Go for it. Hey, sweetie, Victoria, we actually can't hear you right now. Try again. No, still can't hear you. No. We literally cannot hear a sound. I don't know what it is. I think we've had this issue before. So maybe see what you need to do with your microphone, or maybe put in an external microphone or whatever. But as soon as you get that sorted out, and by the way, just feel free to just chime in if you need to test. Just say testing, no problem. I, for my part, will go on. Thanks to everyone for your personal updates. I'm going to save mine for when I give an update on the pilgrimage. And first, I'm going to start off, next on the agenda is I'm going to give a brief introduction to the Social Club at the End of This World, which we started off in mid-2017. And I remember Dan and Adam were among our first participants. Miles has been on for quite a long time, and my sister, I call her my sister. I think we were separated at birth. We've got so much in common. So she's been on with us for quite some time. And everyone's welcome to the Social Club at the End of This World, even if you don't receive an invite from anyone in particular, you just find out about it. Please feel free to reach out and get added to the email list. We also broadcast live. A lot of people watch the Social Club, both when it's being broadcast and then also after it's been recorded and published on YouTube. And of course, we get a lot of comments, and we welcome comments and questions. And the name Social Club at the End of This World, it was actually renamed by Dr. Salish Rao, who's with us right now. It was originally called the Social Club at the End of the World, and it was given that title with the shock value that it has, such as it is, to basically say, hey, look, wake up, humanity. If we don't make some radical changes really quickly in the time scale of human history, really quickly being like on the order of months or years, it will literally be the end of the world as we know it. And since humanity just seemed to be just so lulled asleep by, mother culture, to quote the great book Ishmael, we thought we'd kind of shake things up a bit with the Social Club at the end of the world. And a lot of our inspiration for that title and framing is thanks to our friend Guy McPherson, who directly or indirectly brought a lot of us together. In fact, that's how Victoria discovered me, and that's how Dan and Adam and I think a number of other folks discovered us, is through Guy McPherson. We've had him as a guest at the Sierra Club dinners that I'm the program chair for in the San Francisco Bay Area, and that's what's brought a lot of us together. And we also have, so we start from the starting place of the tremendous urgency around this planetary crisis, abrupt climate change with the threat of near-term human extinction and the ongoing mass extinction that we're in, the 6th mass extinction. So we start from there, from this place of urgency, and where we don't go, or where I don't go, and I encourage people not to go, is to say, oh, let's just give up, right? There's nothing that we can do. Everything looks so terrible. I have a lot of faith in the better nature of humanity, our ability to transform, our ability to create revolution, and in this case, a benevolent revolution. What I don't mean by that is violent, absolutely not. What I do mean is a radical revolution in the sense of getting to the root. Radical not in the sense of chaos or violence or anything like that, but the original meaning of radical, which means to get to the root. And I also believe in collective intelligence. And gathered here today, we are manifesting right here, right now, collective intelligence. And we'll particularly see that as we get into a kind of a more dynamic phase after these initial presentations where we bounce ideas around. Speaking of which, let me talk briefly about ground rules. We have kind of a soft rule of maximum 5 minutes of monologue at any one time from any one person. And if you get to minute 4, I hold up 4 fingers. That doesn't mean stop. It's just, a reminder that you're at 4 minutes. If you get to 5 minutes, I hold up 5 fingers. Again, that doesn't mean stop. It just means, you're at 5 minutes. So, it's a soft rule. If you're in the middle of some inspiring thought, we certainly don't want to shut you down. If you get to 6 minutes, that's, pretty good indication that, it's really time to relinquish. And then after any given monologue, and by the way, I encourage much shorter monologues. So if it's your turn to talk, and we have a queue, which I maintain and as the moderator, so when it's your turn to talk, I encourage shorter sharing. And then at the end of a given monologue, I invite people to go kind of rapid fire, just, quick little comments, questions. And that's really where it's at, I believe, is that we get a dialogue going. So, we try to strike a balance between freedom of expression, your freedom to monologue away, and, a kind of more dynamic, time-sensitive discussion that involves everyone. Any comments, quick comments now? In fact, let's model that right now. Any quick comments about the Social Club at the End of This World and, format, context, philosophy, etc.? I'm going to go on mute and open it up to whoever wants to jump in.
Can anyone hear me now?
Just
Victoria. Go ahead, Victoria, followed by Dan.
Sorry, Dan. I just thought the only thing I know to do. So anyway, I wanted to say hello from Oklahoma. Greetings to everyone. you're just so inspiring to me, each one of you, when I see what you're doing, what you're reading. I'm trying to do what I can locally. Just went and bought bird seed today, and I think I've mentioned looking for a part-time job, and it's interesting how many jobs are in oil in Oklahoma. So there's all this consciousness things, and I just appreciate you all because I love seeing what you're doing. Jamin, go, and Michael Gosnett, good to see you. It's been a year since I was in Berkeley and met you. So anyway, good to see everybody.
Good seeing you.
Awesome. Thank you, Victoria. All right, Dan's up next. And if you want to, by the way, if you want to get, this is rapid fire, so there's no cue at this point. So just jump in. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, just a couple of things. First, I wasn't able to hear Victoria at all. I don't know what the problem is with that, but I just want to underscore the word exponential, because, the social club at the end of the world, now at the end of this world, one of the main premises is that we're in exponential climate change, no longer a linear function. And unfortunately, it's easy to forget it. And a lot of efforts that I see going towards climate change, which are all good, most are altruistic, but there tends to be planning according to a linear model of climate change. And that's just highly unlikely to be occurring. And as I've said before, I remember back in the late 1960s, early 70s, when I was in school, one of the courses that I took, used the model of, if a lily pond is going to be covered in 30 days, on the 29th day, how much of it is covered? It's 50%. And so, you really get low. We're looking at a rapidly oncoming dystopia. And I do think that exponential piece, which people obviously disagree with or just simply don't want to think about, I think it really needs to be underscored. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Really, really important. Any other rapid comments after the brief introduction to the social club at the end of this world? All right. Well, very good. Well, in the interest of time and in the interest of our special guests today, I'm going to go ahead and shift then to both an update on myself and an introduction to the pilgrimage. And let me bring out a couple of props here really quickly. I'll be right there. So one is this flag that says Laudato Si, which is the name of the encyclical letter written by Pope Francis, addressed to literally the entire world, not just Christians or Catholics, but literally to everyone. And I'm going to give some context around the pilgrimage that we're creating, which is that I and a number of colleagues, including Michael on this call, we and two other colleagues named Michael, among others, began an effort that dates back to 2014, 5 years ago, to create both a platform and a community focused on unleashing the collective intelligence of humanity using, at its core, it's human intelligence. And human, speaking of exponential, with a nod to Dan's comment, we believe that we can manifest an exponentially growing level of intelligence, a new level of thinking, with a nod to Albert Einstein's famous quote that we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. We believe and have a tremendous faith that through a combination of a platform, a technological platform, including video conferencing, and including various layers of artificial intelligence, we can create essentially an intelligent and very efficient switching system, connecting the right groups of people, the right individuals together to form groups to have specific conversations on specific topics. This is a very general conversation about our planetary crisis and a general conversation about solutions generally. But in addition to these broad format conversations, I believe we need ultimately tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of very specific topic conversations in which specific combinations of people and bots, AI, with specific foci, can participate to co-create all of the big solutions, medium and small solutions, and all of the components within each of those solution areas. Solutions from giant planetary solutions, such as geoshading, cooling the planet by deflecting away a portion of the sunlight that's hitting us back into space, various forms of geoshading, to giant movements such as let's all go vegan, ASAP, to holistic land management, ocean cleanup, permaculture, transforming our entire set of living arrangements, from eliminating money with a nod to the good work, the good revolutionary work that Adam is doing, creating arcologies, which is a mashup between architecture and ecology with a nod to Michael Gosney and the good work he's been a pioneer of for decades, actually. And so many other areas, whether it's psychology with a nod to Dan, support and integration with First Nations people with a nod to Miles and my partner Melissa, and on and on and on. So we all have our different areas of interest and specialization. Let's organize ourselves around a rich taxonomy, a rich and growing and evolving taxonomy of topics, all pointing to a common aim, a common goal, which is the saving of life on Earth and the transformation of our trajectory as a species and as a planet from this death spiral that we're on right now. Let's find an off-ramp from the death spiral and a new path towards a whole world, a world of wholeness and healing and holistic health for not just humanity, but for all species and ecosystems. So in a nutshell, that's where we're coming from. And for years, we worked with this kind of intense focus on essentially doing our own thing, right? Creating this platform for collective intelligence, starting conversations such as this one, which is ongoing, and helping the world to wake up to not just the problem, but also the opportunity for co-creating myriad solutions using our collective intelligence. Now, last September, we did a month-long campaign at the Microsoft headquarters in Redmond, Washington, where I had worked as corporate strategy manager years earlier. And that particular initiative was focused not just at Microsoft, but in fact the entire technology sector, to basically invite the tech sector to get into the game of co-creating not just solutions, but also the platforms that we need for collective intelligence. And with a nod to radish.org. Radish.org is where we do this work around collective intelligence. And so there we were, a group of us. Adam was there. Jamie, who will be joining in a bit, was there, and several others, my partner Melissa. I was dressed in a full flashing Darth Vader costume. We had sophisticated lightsabers, music. I was singing Spanish love songs, just getting everyone's attention, and hoping and seeking to get engagement from the top management of the company all the way to the CEO. We had a big sign that said, "Help us, Satya Nadella, you're our only hope." So we had this Star Wars theme to the whole thing. Anyway, long story short, we got a lot of attention from the employees, including my former colleagues, but management essentially ignored us. And so at the end of September, we kind of sat back and proverbially lit a cigar and ask, what are we missing? What's the best way to move forward? And that's where we latched on to the idea of religion. And we read Pope Francis's encyclical, which he published in 2015, Laudato Si, on care for our common home, and found that the alignment was near perfect. And so we then said, okay, let's figure out how we can partner with these 1.2 billion Catholics, most of whom had never heard of the Laudato Si. It kind of, got a little media blip in 2015 that most of us heard about, and then, it kind of fizzled away and we all kind of forgot about it. But so we've been on this new focus, which is creating a pilgrimage and a proposal for the Catholic Church. The pilgrimage is to promote both the Laudato Si and our proposal that builds on top of it. And in a very brief nutshell, so I'm going to probably try to talk for a couple more minutes and then hand over the microphone to Shelley and Jan. But the heart of our proposal built around the Laudato Si is as follows. Pope Francis, you get it, right? And you are the leader of, the most, perhaps the most powerful in many ways and organized religion and religious institution on the planet. You also have a tremendous personality and heart for openness and interfaith. You're connecting with other religious leaders. Please bump it up. Please consider bumping it up a notch, bringing together all leaders of all different faiths. And as a coalition, imagine doing a press conference where you see Pope Francis, the Dalai Lama, the president of the Mormon Church, the leader of the Shinto religion in Japan, all across the board. Imagine this, what essentially might look to the outside observer as a freak show of all these different religious leaders, and say, hello world, I don't care what your religion is, you're represented here. And we are your humble leaders. And we've got some bad news and some good news. The bad news, to paraphrase Dan, we're in the midst of exponential climate change. The good news is we can all get together and do something very powerful about it. We can apply our collective consciousness, our collective intelligence, our collective will, our collective spirit in fomenting a spiritual transformation and a transformation in our intelligence and our ability to co-create solutions and implement those in a timely manner. So, we've got two big asks. Technology sector, please get together and complete the platform for collective intelligence that several pioneers have started, including Radish.org, among many others. It's time to build this mega platform to bring everyone together, people and artificial intelligence and modeling and everything else. Bring it all. Number two, humanity. Please join the aforementioned platform and do your part. Find your place, find your passion, find your micro tribes, get plugged in. If it's part of the vegan movement, go over there where Salish and company are leading, Vegan 2026, etc. If it's around geoshading, join Jamin and company and work on that. If it's around holistic land management, join Alan Savory and company, the Savory Institute, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, times, tens of thousands of specific topics. And let's put this all together and figure out all the solutions that we need to develop and implement ASAP to get us out of this mess. That press conference would be the beginning of a whole planetary revolution of love and faith and spirit and communion coming together and gradually blurring the lines that separate us, with a nod to Dan's earlier comments about tribalism, whether on a racial basis, ethnic basis, national basis, religious basis, economic basis, or whatever. Let's come together. So that's the basis of the pilgrimage. That's the basis of our proposal. And with that introduction, however intense and brief, I'm going to now shift gears and turn it over to our guests, who I'm very happy to introduce, Shelley and Jan. So please feel free to take it away. And I just invite everyone to be very comfortable. Don't feel like you're presenting so much as just having a conversation, and feel free to call in on others. Feel free to call in on Dr. Salish Rao if you'd like to hand the ball to them. If it's kind of like a hot potato sometimes, just feel free to pass the hot potato. I'm volunteering Salish, who I know is just very graceful at such interactions. So without any further loquaciousness from your humble servant, I'm going to go on mute, turn it over to Shelley and Jan. Please take your time. We're all very, very interested in hearing what you have to say. So thank you, and going on mute.
So first of all, thank you very much for the welcome and the invitation to be here. And I resonated very deeply with what everybody said here. Quite extraordinary. And I now understand more why Silas suggested that we really connect. My name is Shelley and this is Jan, and we're working together on many different projects which are deeply aligned with what you're talking about. From different perspectives, we've been involved in a lot of research and action and looking at both the trajectory that we're on, as well as really looking for the solutions. And the word exponential has come up numerous times, and what I think we're really trying to work on is what would the exponential healing process look like. And there's a lot that we could share around this. As Silas mentioned, one of the first stages that I went, offerings that I gave was to look at many of the root causes in the mindset and systems that exist. And I wrote a paper called Deconstructing Democracy, showing how the current trajectory is really inbuilt in the system, and that the idealization of democracy is part of the problem, because we have to, in order to heal the system, we really need a new governance system. We're based on completely different principles. And I come from a very eclectic background, a very whole systems background, but with the whole system healing as the core to everything that I do and that I've been researching. And so over the last years, I've been writing a lot and also working towards creating foundations for a new way of organizing ourselves as a species, which includes a whole system health framework, as well as pathways, including technology, to enable this to happen in terms of supporting the citizen self-organization. So key to this is helping people understand that our current language and framework is embedded in a fragmenting system that is disconnected from the principles of life, and finding our unification process by addressing our deepest commonality, which is the health and vitality of ourselves and our children as nature intended, and putting the health and vitality of the system at its center, and recognizing that our health is interdependent with the health of all other beings, and also the health of the foundations of life. So the foundational concept is that our shared purpose, and the purpose of all legitimate governance, is to protect and cultivate the health and vitality of the planet and all its inhabitants for generations to come. And then the question is how we actually go about it. And on the website, there's a lot of information about different pathways that we're working on. One of them is supporting a global coming together, very similar to what you're talking about, of citizens who understand the principles of whole system health and are working towards it. And that we call like Citizens for a Healthy Earth as the organizing principle, and creating the framework, the blueprint for a virtual global community of citizens for a healthy earth, to be able to organize together effectively and have those thousands of conversations that you're talking about, and create a system for having useful conversations that can actually surface the optimal solutions and continually co-create and iterate the learning from these in a way that creates a living library according to very specific discernment principles, because for years I've been had experience working as a group facilitator and know how complex it is to focus conversations. So part of the idea for the governance systems that we need to create is a council system, but it works really more on the issue-based councils than on leadership-based councils, and allows for accurate discernment processes of how to understand which information is most essential for the system at any given time. So it's really about how these councils inform the system and setting up the protocol for enabling that to be done efficiently. So that's one part of what we're doing. The technology vision that I've had is a very, very comprehensive vision, which brings together many of the different technologies that exist today, from an internal marketplace, which is based on whole system health, to an economy, to education system, media, and all of these different pieces coming together in service of whole system health. So this is not a free-for-all community that I'm envisioning. It's really a community that works with basic agreements around what are our priorities and what are our values. And with those values in mind and agreeing on those principles, it's so much easier to organize. So it's not exclusive, because it doesn't exclude anybody on the basis of race, religion, economy, or anything like that. It's exclusive in terms of aligning with a certain principle, so that we can create a coherent magnetic attractor of people who are working with principles that support life. So what Salish asked me to talk about here was another piece that we're working on together, which answers for me the question of what do we need to know in order to take up our roles as healthy citizens in a healthy world? On the understanding that in order to be able to work synergistically together for the healing process, we need to have the same narrative, we need to have the same understanding. And what is it that we need to know in order to be able to really shift our lifestyles and engage as active citizens in an organized way? So the 24 Hours of Wholeness is a program that we're hoping to initiate, to launch on the 21st of September on International Peace Day. But it's basically conceived of as 24 hours of curriculum that will be available from then onwards. And it answers the question of enabling people to take a look at the challenges and the solutions from a very meta perspective, so that we're helping them to situate themselves within the global context, to see the different challenges and solutions, and to see how people all over the world are negotiating these challenges, but also to inspire, to inform, and to offer a different language for organizing the curriculum. So the assumption here is that most of our challenges come from a disconnect from understanding the foundations of life and how this living organism works. We don't come from educational systems that teach us systems theories, and specifically not living systems theories. And also, they don't teach us anything about human healing and the psychology of human healing, the physiology of human healing. So the 24 hours, I'll just briefly say, are work to offer a way of reconnecting people to the foundations of life, whether it be earth, air, fire, water, climate, biodiversity, the web of life, looking at what whole system peace would look like within a new framework of whole peace really being whole system health, and with all of the parts really receiving what they need in order to manifest their unique potential in service of the whole, which is the foundational code that I feel that life offers. And this I call the vitality code, where each part of the system receives precisely what it needs in order to be able to take up its role in service of the whole. Feels to me the foundational organizing principle for the new governance system and for the way we organize ourselves. So those are some of the foundations will then spend 2 hours, they 12 2-hour segments. We then spend 2 hours on understanding humanity, healing, and human health on the individual and collective levels. Then whole system healing, which is also the interface between human healing and the web of life. Then we'll have 2 hours on the principles of new governance systems and a foundational manifesto with organizing principles. And finally, the pathway forward and a place for more creative visioning and for bringing a way of thinking about how to launch this and involve people in the virtual global community, which we hope to launch on that day. So that's very briefly about it. There's much more I could say, but I don't want to take up too much time, and maybe Jan can just say a few words.
Okay. Yeah, great to be here with you all. It's really such a pleasure, and feeling so much resonance with each of you, and especially also what you were saying, Jamin. It's like we're completely talking the same language. Shelley and I were looking at each other, smiling and going, "Wow, remarkable." So yeah, my background has been very much in this context, looking at the global movement since 2010. Even before that time, I really started to become aware of this global movement that has so many different sectors and is so vast. What Paul Hawken called the Blessed Unrest. I read that book just when it came out, and just really started to realize that, okay, we're now today looking at between 700 million and 1 billion people, between 3 and 4 million organizations working for a better world. I just saw in 2010, I had this kind of epiphany where I saw the potential of all of these groups actually recognizing that essentially we're working for the same thing, and how can we actually work together to catalyze system change. You know, I've really been envisioning rapid whole systems transformation, understanding that most of the problems that we're facing are inherently systemic. And so for the last 9 years almost, I've been on this journey of creating different platforms and networks, and really promoting a lot of transdisciplinary collaboration, helping different networks from different sectors see how they can come together and support each other. And so I'm very much in the field of unity and promoting unity. And one thing that I really came to realize was that to really organize effectively, we need an effective organizing infrastructure. And that search, I've come across many different what you can call evolutionary social architects and architectures, different models for how we can organize. But then I came across Shelley's work in 2018 and really recognized really quite a remarkable difference in terms of the holistic approach. Holistic approaches are very common, but somehow Shelley really brought it to a whole nother level of really giving voice to the trees, to the animals, to the water, to the elements, to the climate, to biodiversity, and this kind of in council form, as well as an organizing infrastructure, which she calls Citizens for a Healthy Earth, which is basically a model for how citizens can self-organize to start to hold governments accountable and really start to bring the new knowledge around solutions to the forefront of the global conversation, as we also inform citizens, populations worldwide about the possibilities and the pathways for systemic transformation. So yeah, I think that's kind of my contribution in a nutshell. And basically just to say that the 24-hour of wholeness is really, it seems to be a culmination of many different ingredients that Shelley has been preparing, as well as many others around the world who are really seeing and calling for global unity and collaboration for systemic change. But yeah, this event, I believe, will launch quite a few key ingredients as well as foundational pieces that can really help facilitate effective citizen-led self-organization for rapid whole systems transformation. Mm-hmm.
Wow, really, really wonderful. My goodness. You can see my reactions over the last few minutes. I haven't been so excited since I met Dr. Salish Rao. And in fact, every one of you who's on this call has given me a huge boost of excitement when I've gotten to know you and see the particular areas of focus that you have. And I could not agree more with everything that you have both just said, Shelley and Jan. So really, really excited and blessed and grateful that we've all found each other. And let's keep finding each other. And you who are watching, we want to find you too. So with that,
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
I'm wondering.
Yeah, we've actually got the queue. We've got Adam. Sorry, Dan, and then Adam.
Sorry, I don't.
No, that's all right. And let me just mention for questions and comments, since we've got a lot to say, and Shelley and Jan may only be on for a few more minutes. Let's keep it really brief and concise now. So we've got Dan, followed by Adam, followed by Miles. And if it's a question, I'll turn it back over to Shelley and Jan after you make your question or comment. So take it away, Dan, as brief as you can be. Thank you.
All right, I'll be very, very brief. Kind of building off of what Shelley was talking about in terms of deconstructing democracy. You guys have heard me talk consistently about tribalism, including the religious tribalism, which I think is one of the hugest problems we have. And I just want to lay out something here. So in essence, according to Peter Wadhams, we need to shift tremendous amounts of money out of military budgets into drawdown technologies and technologies to refreeze the Arctic in a safe way. Now, that's from Peter Wadhams. Now, I think that it's important to understand that these military budgets are totally based on tribalism in this world. In other words, as the Chinese said, the white supremacist Five Eyes tribe, meaning United States, Canada, England, Australia, and New Zealand, shouldn't be talking from a high position about technological surveillance, etc. Here's the thing. Tribalism gives rise to psychopathy. And so tribalism needs to be deconstructed, and so does psychopathy. The main part of psychopathy, which is oftentimes not emphasized, is that the psychopath sees the world totally in terms of predator and prey. And that is how intelligence military communities view the world. And when you are seeing the world from simply, it's either, everybody is either predator or prey, then it is perfectly okay to lie, to trigger off warlike actions. You can do whatever is necessary to protect the tribe, because the assumption is that if the other tribe ever gets the power, they will exterminate our tribe. And if you really start looking at it, you can see it. And these things have to be deconstructed, meaning that, yes, you have to go to a meta level and talk about tribalism and psychopathy, which is totally locked in to tribalism. And so final thing, and I'll leave it. So when we go, Jamin, when the pilgrimage to the Pope, and I'm the one who usually brings in these discordant, kinds of things. But I want to say that the problem with Christian religious tribalism, and really all of the others in their own way, they don't really differ all that much. The problem is there is a belief in a omniscient, omnipotent God who could, metaphorically snap his, and it's always, his fingers, and, could clear up all of these problems. Or if it's the case that this God wants to bring on the end times, then he will do so. And here in the United States, with our politicians like Mike Pence, Mike Pompeo, who are of the dominionist Christian fundamentalist persuasion, and this needs to be deconstructed immediately. All right, thank you. I'm checking out.
Thank you, Dan. Really good stuff. I'm going to give Shelley and Jan an opportunity to respond to each and everyone's comments if you want, or you can just say, no, carry on, and I'll pass it to the next one. So Shelley and Jan, you have the option.
Mm-hmm. I think we'll pass on this and just gather the questions. Yeah, thank you. I resonate with what you're saying.
Beautiful. Great. Thank you, Shelley. Up next is Adam, and I just want to emphasize as brief as possible. Make your point, and we'll pass it back to Shelley and Jan. Thank you. Take it away, Adam.
Okay. Yeah, Shelley and Jan. So I without vision, we're lost. And so I agree with your concept of building a vision in virtual reality. And so that's what I've been working on too. And Jamin, and I'm kind of, so I've been developing, what I did was I wrote called the Road to Life Plan. And it's a vision of it. I base it on the concept that money is a poison to mankind. And when I look at money and I look at all of our lives as that, I see that, we can do everything we need to do a lot better if we get money out of the way. And the Road to Life Plan explains how we can do that. It explains how we can set up a all-volunteer workforce, how we can have population control, how we can live in neighborhoods, how we can, basically set up a government system. But everybody has all these different plans. There's a lot of different groups, but we don't come together. Like we're saying, all these environmental groups, they don't come together. So we have all these different solutions, but we're not organized. So what Jamin's doing and what I'm supporting is building a platform where we use artificial intelligence to help us develop an overall plan that people can follow and people can participate in building this plan. And so the way I see it doing it is you build a bunch of somebody joins the platform. I'm getting into too much here. It's anyway. The main thing I wanted to say is that we don't have a plan and we don't have any organization. If all the environmental groups were to come together, they would be a lot more powerful. And on a platform, we can do this. We can all come together, and we can use modern technology. There's for one thing, we need a platform like How to Save the World platform, where Dr. Rao can bring his plans for vegetarianism and everybody can bring their ideas, and so it's divided up into like a plan set. It's like building a skyscraper. Before the building is even built, you have to build it in digital reality first. You have to build the plans and specifications. So you have to have different sections for everything, and you have a spot. And another thing is that the kids of today will help us a lot. They're more technologically advanced than any of us, so they can help a tremendous amount. We just need a place for everybody to go. And one thing about this platform is use the latest technology. We can use AI for one thing, as long as we keep it safe. It can be used to help mankind find a way out. And we can. Another thing is, for the first time in all the history of mankind, we'll be able to break the language barrier. So if we are on a platform like this, we can use instantaneous language translation, and people can, all around the world, we can talk to each other, and we've never been able to do that before. So we need a central place to organize, and so I think that's the way to go. I'd like to talk to you more about this, and I'd like to get your email if I could. I just started a new website, but it isn't open yet, so I'm working on it hard. Thanks.
Great stuff, Adam. Thank you. Shelley, Jan, you have the option, comment, or pass to the next. You're on mute. You're on mute, Shelley. We can't hear you.
So I feel this is very much aligned in this as well, and this is very much the vision for that integrative technology that really gives a place to all of these different groups to be able to plug in, find each other, and work more effectively together. And so, big yes to what you said.
Yeah, tremendous resonance here. Jan, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of seeing what are the different developments in terms of this unifying technology platform seems to be a core topic here, and it's also one of the main draw factors, I think, that brought us to this conversation. So I'll be very interested to learn more and to find out about Radish as well. And I don't know, maybe Sailesh can speak a little bit as well about, we're looking at developing a technology app as well for the 24-hour event. Yeah, so any kind of tips and advice or see what is already out there, because there's already so much that is out there, will be very much appreciated.
Beautiful. Yeah, tremendous resonance here all around, and really exciting to see this convergence in our thinking across so many different dimensions. So Miles is up next, followed by Salish, and if you want to add yourself to the queue, just type in your name into the chat area, and if you can't do that or don't know how, just interrupt at moments like this when we're in between speakers and say, hey, Jamin, put me in the queue, and I'll be happy to do that. Up next is Miles. Take it away, Miles.
Okay, first of all, just to let everybody know, there's a documentary, by Abby Martin, who does Empire Files. She interviews Peter Phillips, the author of this book, Giants of the Global Power Elite. And essentially, there's been also an exponential increase in inequity with now 200 big-time money managers controlling 50 trillion. That's a trillion with a T. And so highly recommend Google for Empire Files, Abby Martin, watch that Giants of the Global Power Elite. What I like about what I'm hearing about the 24-hour for wholeness is that it sounds like you're putting together some educational programs, and I'm very interested in how we educate people. And essentially, as Salish has done, he's making his materials public domain. His slides are there for people to use. And we need to create a free university. And I'm wondering, are these materials that you're putting together for the 24 hours of wholeness, are those going to be available to turn that into also 7 days a week, 365 days a year? And so we can get out. There's a lot of stay-at-home mothers and some stay-at-home fathers who are, you know, bringing up their children, and they would love to be able to meet in community and to learn about all this stuff. And that's a tapped audience, or an audience we need to tap into, I'd say. Thank you. Just those questions.
Great stuff, Miles. And thank you for the concision. Back to Shelley and Jan. You have the option.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. The curriculum that we're bringing together is really, looking at different elements, really focusing on that core organizing principle of whole systems health. So what does it take to create a healthy whole system? And as Shelley says, as long as there is oppression anywhere in the system, there cannot be health, there cannot be peace. And so when we go through all the different themes, the foundations of life and peace, and new governance models, we're looking at the solutions and the challenges. And a lot of the material that we're going to be gathering, because it's going to be video material that is already out there. You know, the internet is full of so many amazing high quality videos exposing both the challenges and the solutions. So that will be like a Kickstarter. This is going to be kind of like a foundational curriculum that can be expanded on in all directions. Yesterday we were speaking to Ubiquity University, who they're like an online university kind of for new paradigm education. And they could possibly be interested in creating, you know, developing a more evolved curriculum from that. But it's really basing you know, a new understanding of interconnectedness and what it takes to create a healthy whole earth, a whole living system, you know, with this new perspective in all of the different subject areas. So there's a huge scope for developing, and the idea, I think the vision is also very much to get all these different kind of progressive educational groups involved, as well as citizens who want to, you know, upload their own tutorials and ideas, that we really start to tap into the collective intelligence, like Jamin says.
And yes, absolutely, it will be available, you know, ongoing.
Mm.
That's the intention, you know, to really bring as many people as possible on board the same narrative, the same understanding, and the same picture of the pathway necessary for, you know, to engage in. So, yeah.
Beautiful, wonderful, wonderful. Absolutely love it. All right, next up in the queue is Salish, and I'll put myself in the queue after Salish. So Salish, please take it away. Thank you.
Okay, so now you see why I wanted Shelley and Jan to be here today. I think you know, they bring this perspective for the pilgrimage as well, that we are not going there as supplicants asking the Pope for help. We are going there saying, we are going to do this. Please join us. So we are going to do this, and it is going to be centered around compassion, which everyone talks about in religions. So it's about, the pilgrimage is really about asking him to join us and become part of this so that he can help us help grow this. So it's a different perspective as opposed to pleading with him to lead the effort for us. So I thought bringing that, and especially in this transformation, it really is about deconstructing power as well, not just democracies, deconstructing power. So there shouldn't be these centers of power that we are all dependent on, but we take the power back ourselves because we gave it to them in the first place. That's all I had to say. Thank you very much.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Salish. Shelley and Jan, you have the option.
No, I think, yeah, I mean, we can discuss more in terms of the pilgrimage and how that could fit into to the event at some point. Maybe not now, but yeah, I think that will definitely be an interesting conversation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just in terms of what Salish is saying about deconstructing power, very aligned with this, and it needs to come from so many different directions, both in terms of the mindset, as Dan was talking about this hierarchical model of this omnipotent God that we're replicating through the way in which we treat, CEOs and presidents, and, really shifting that patriarchal model in the mind, which is creating this persecutor victim mentality, of domination and of privilege, which creates the psychopathy in the system, because there's so much shame and blame and narcissism and isolation and, all of the mental health stuff, both individually and collectively, that comes with it. And as Salish is saying, it's also about really creating the infrastructure that decentralizes that power and says we are taking our own authority right now, and we are offering something that is different and it's compelling enough for others to follow. And we're not going to wait for anyone to do it, but you may want to get on the right side of history.
I have a quick question. I've learned of this fellow named Ken Wilber, and he has a concept of psychology which is called integral. And there's various stages of development. He talks about our colors, and we all start out as an egocentric little child. It's about me, and then ethnocentric is the next level up, where you go from me to us, your tribe, so to speak. And then there's another level above that, which is world-centric, where all people are recognized. And then the ultimate is the integral level of we recognize and appreciate the worth of all beings, not just the humans. And so I know Salish's work is very much about of this recognition of all beings. And anyway, just questioning if you're familiar with Ken Wilber.
Yeah, I am familiar with his work. It's very profound. There's an echo.
Dan, would you turn up because we're getting echo? Thank you. Please continue, Shelley. We solved the problem. Go ahead.
Okay. So yes, I am aware of his work, and I think that he's contributed a lot to people thinking in terms of this spiral, this evolutionary spiral of consciousness. I think it has a lot of use in many ways, and there's pieces in it that I feel are supplemented by other perspectives as well. And yes, indeed, I think that this whole, he talks about this whole evolution towards really from that more tribal kind of first chakra consciousness to one that does see oneself in this large interconnected system and actually takes responsibility for it. And that's where we're moving towards. Thank you.
Yeah. Could I jump in, Jamin, just for, I got to go in just a few minutes. So let me just have my last comment. And again, I'll just say right away, I appreciate so much being able to have this conversation with everyone. It's really gratifying. And, in everyday life, it's so hard to have a lot of conversations. Yeah, so I just want to, I remember studying Ken Wilber and other writers in what used to be called, maybe it still is, transpersonal psychology. From my point of view, from a psychological perspective. And I'm somebody who kind of approaches mental health from a stoicism point of view. Because and in this world, I think it's maybe essential. But in any case, the propaganda against climate change, certainly in the United States, and I seem to feel it's pretty much across the board. This propaganda is for two purposes. In other words, sow the doubt. Climate change isn't a real problem. Climate's been changing. Underlying a lot of this propaganda is straight up tribalism, whether it comes from the Make America Great tribalism, the nationalism that Trump has been, kind of playing with, or whether it is straight up Christian fundamentalist tribal stuff. And the propaganda, which consists of omitting essential information, trying to establish narratives which are very false, but they do have a coherence and they have a certain logic. And at this point in time, all of the media that we have available, and these people on the media, the corporate media, these are authority figures. When things come through the corporate media today, the mass of the population here in the United States accepts it almost as the gospel. And so the propaganda against exponential climate change is there for two reasons, in my opinion. One is because they recognize full well, if they start a serious discussion about how dire the situation is, that two things will happen. The upper middle classes around the world will start asking the question, what's the point of doing anything? Why should I continue doing what I'm doing? And it's generally the upper middle classes or the middle classes in the world, the educated classes, who kind of keep the wheels of the economy turning one way or the other. And they don't want to see that stopped or to start to become a problem. And the other is they know perfectly well that many segments of the population, especially here in the United States, where we have such a heavily armed population who constantly are thinking about civil war, they know that vengeance will come, and it will come, before the end. And I think that it's really important to not be in denial about how dire everything is. And with that discordant note, I'm going to say goodbye, and I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Take care. Take care.
Great. Thanks so much, Dan. Great to have you, brother. All righty. Shelley, Jan, you have the option.
I'm happy. We're going to also have to go in about 5 minutes, so I'd really love to hear you and just see if we can, sum it up for now, and then look forward to continuing in whatever way is best.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm next in the queue, so I'll address that. First of all, I would love to actually meet as frequently as we possibly can, because what I'm seeing now is there is this beautiful convergence of like-minded, like philosophy, like perspective. And the first thing I want to say as a commentary, and so we'll follow up by email for now, and we'll coordinate via email. I'm in Spain. I came to Spain on an emergency visit for one of my aunties who passed away a couple of weeks ago, and then reconnected with a bunch of family here. And we've actually changed the starting point from our pilgrimage from Buenos Aires, Argentina, which is where Pope Francis is originally from, to Santiago de Compostela in the far northwest corner of Spain, which is the end point of the Camino de Santiago. We're making that the starting point of the Camino de Francisco for Pope Francis, going from Santiago de Compostela all the way to the Vatican. And along the way, since we'll be going in the opposite direction of the Camino de Santiago will be going, boop, 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 meeting all the pilgrims along the way, giving them our flyer, our information. They'll see our flag. They're already pilgrims on a Catholic pilgrimage. So it will sort of be like fish in a barrel, as they say in Oklahoma. So anyway, so I wanted to make that brief comment. Another brief comment I want to make is that just as with the lily pad analogy, we are very close to manifesting an exponentially growing collective intelligence where, you know, whenever I see somebody put up a cool book on the screen, like Miles showed a really interesting book, my first thought is, oh, I need to read that. I need to get that information inside this cranium, right? But the real key is connecting all the different craniums into a super intelligence, which is in turn turbocharged by artificial intelligence. But for that to happen, we need the platform. So a recurring theme I keep hearing a lot of us saying is platform, platform, platform. So what one really key thing I think that can really help us break through is if all the platform people and organizations, of which there are many, but most of us still don't know about each other, we need to come together and we need to make this platform happen. We have pieces of it functioning on Radish, and in fact, this very video conference is a manifestation of that. This is a conversation which is part of a series. These are some of the fundamental building blocks within the DNA, the evolving DNA of this platform, are conversations, series of conversations, interconnected conversations, cross-linked conversations. And one part that we're working on is getting the artificial intelligence to transcribe the conversations, index them, etc., so we can have automatic linkages formed between them. Anyway, those are all details, but the fundamental principle that I want to keep putting forward is we've got to get this platform happening, right? And to bring our conversations to the platform as much as possible. So the social club at the end of this world is a component of this growing platform. There's another one that we're going to be starting that we're just building right now that I'd love to invite people to participate in as well, which is called World Serious, which is a series, a weekly series of conversations off of which will branch other series of conversations that will go deeper into each of the dozens of topics that we've raised today, from tribalism to geoshading, to new forms of governance, to a new story for humanity, to a new model of education, a new culture, getting rid of money, transforming the economy, transforming the very mode of production of the economy, from an economy of hoarding to an economy of sharing, an economy of healing, et cetera, et cetera. So I just really want to emphasize the vital urge, the vital urgent need for getting all of us platform people and organizations together. This is one place that we can get together on a weekly basis, Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and build from there. Again, World Serious, stay tuned. There'll be more on that. And with that, I'm going to go on mute and invite Shelley, Jan, and Salish to have whatever last words, since I know you need to get going. So I'll go on mute. Shelley, Jan.
Just a deep appreciation for all you're doing for each of you, and a lot of excitement to hear what you know about this pilgrimage. I think it's so important. There's a lot of interfaith work that I'm aware of, also interfaith around ecological issues that I'm also trying to support, and looking forward to more.
Okay, beautiful. Oh, by the way, I have just one question before people get off. Do I have everyone's permission to send an email to the folks who've been participating on this call to connect everyone to each other?
Please do. Yes, absolutely.
Thumbs up if you want in on that. Okay, good. I see universal. Good. I'll send off that email later tonight or tomorrow at the very latest. Alrighty, back to you, Shelley and Jan. Sorry, go ahead.
Just another big thank you to Salish for just being such an amazing weaver and initiator leader. I'm always blown away by what what he gets involved in and how, you know, how he brings all of these threads together. So thanks, Silas.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been great. Great to connect with you, and I really look forward to seeing how this wants to unfold in terms of co-creation. So yeah, great to meet you.
Thank you for your time and your listening, and we hope to see you soon again.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you both so much, Shelley, Jan, and Salish. I want to emphasize, can add to your gratitude for Salish for bringing us all together. So Salish, love to hear more from you. So going on mute.
Well, thank you for the social club, and thank you for initiating that. And I'm just grateful to be part of it. Okay. So I think we are all coming together at the right time, so we can create an exponential crescendo of healing for the planet. And we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
Absolutely. So beautiful. Well, I'll open it up for just any comments folks have. Very quick, brief ones. Just jump in when you're ready.
Amazing. Amazing. Thanks to all of you. What an inspiration. I just appreciate so much the time and energy and just everything that's poured into these. I leave feeling like I've connected with people of the same mindset. It means so much, and I'm so grateful.
Thank you, sister. Beautiful.
Yeah, I'd like to
say, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so right now we have a certain amount of biomass of food on the planet, and it's been, you know, pretty high up there. Let's just call that 100%. Now, I want to ask Dr. Rao if he can answer this question. I'm sure he can. I know he can. But so if we remove meat, how much will that would that reduce that 100% to? And also, see, when the collapse happens, there's going to be a lot of people and not very much food, and this is why we have to prepare for how to survive. So we're going to have to learn. We're going to have to learn how to survive on very little food, and we're going to have to learn how to grow our own food in houses and in our windows, all kinds of areas. So I'm wondering, you know, how much can we realistically expect to have? And I know that our need is going to be minimal. You know, our need is going to be great, but our supplies are going to be minimal. So we can bring that right now. If we had 100%, we can bring that down to, you know, so our need is only going to be 30% or something like that, or maybe 10 or 15 or 20%. But if we can bring that down by 50 or 60% by eliminating meat, we've already gone a long part of the way. I mean, I'd rather eat and be a vegetarian and live than be a meat eater and die. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
I'm going to just say goodbye. That's a great question. I'll catch it on the replay. Thank you, everybody. Gotta go.
Thank you, Miles. Great to see you, buddy. Great stuff, man. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Adam. Actually, I addressed that in the overview talk. So the amount of food we give to our animals is 7.27 gigatons per year. And the amount of food we eat is 1.54 gigatons per year. So our animals are eating roughly 5 times as much food as we eat. But it's not just a meat issue. It is actually a veganism issue. The reason I say that is from the 7.27 gigatons we feed our animals, they are giving us 0.19 gigatons of food for us to eat. And then they're also giving us 0.14 gigatons of material for us to use in our industries, which could be leather, it could be glue, gelatin, all kinds of things, blood. Saudi Arabia, for some reason, gets all the blood from all the slaughterhouses and I don't know what they do with it. They take it over there. So there is all this other stuff that's being done with the animals. And even if we reduce our meat consumption, if we don't change that, if we still wear leather, people are going to be raising those animals just to give you leather, just like we do with fur farms today, where we're raising foxes. We're not eating them, but we skin them alive, and and we use their skin for coats and things like that. So the industry is perfectly capable of, because it's pretty psychopathic, it's perfectly capable of doing those things. And so nothing will change unless we all go vegan. When you go vegan, you're saying, not only am I not going to eat meat, I'm not going to drink dairy, I'm not going to wear leather, I'm not going to use any animals for any purpose whatsoever. So I'm going to just take it all out of my purchasing decisions. Then the industry has no choice but to say, oh my God, what do you need? Plants, right? So we have to make things with plants now. So that will shift. When that shifts, then all that food we are feeding the animals will become available for us to eat directly. So it really will create a system of abundance. I believe it will create a system of abundance when we go vegan. But it has to happen quickly before we destroy the planetary cycles and make it harder and harder just to get that food, 1.54 gigatons.
Beautiful, beautiful, Salish. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for having such mastery of the data. All right.
I'm going to have to run, so I wanted to say goodbye and thank you so much. This has again been amazing. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you, Sister Victoria. So great to see you. Always so wonderful to have you. All righty. Okay. Well, there's just 3 of us, so no need for a queue. Just jump in and mute when you're not talking. Go ahead, Sid.
No, I have to leave as well because I have to prepare for my first graders talk.
Beautiful. Wow.
I have to do it with demos and things like that, as opposed to showing them slides, right? So I'm working on that. So
beautiful.
And I'm looking forward to our meeting next week.
Yeah, and you've got a place at the Airbnb we've got in Berkeley, right?
Right. I'm planning to be with the
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, that's going to be a wonderful convergence. And Adam, I hope you can make it too, to the April 25th. Can't make it, understand, don't worry, it's all good. All right, well, my goodness, Salish, I am so grateful for everyone you've connected us with, and please keep doing what you're doing. You're making all the difference. We all are. Each in our own way. And what an amazing meeting today. I mean, my goodness, this is collective intelligence. This is what I'm talking about. Now, imagine this expanded 100-fold, 1,000-fold. We're at the early stages of the exponential. Right. With this expanded intelligence, the sky's the limit. I mean, sometimes I make the analogy, or maybe it was Adam who first came up with it. Imagine an alien intelligence descended on Earth that just had a gazillion eyeballs and a brain that, the size of a city, and, was just like taking it all in and said, okay, here's exactly what you need to do. Salish, you need to do this blog post, and you're like, what? Oh, wow, that's right. You make the blog post, suddenly 100,000 people are resharing it, and then, Adam, you need to make this blog post. Jamin, you need to do this on Radish, You need to connect with these coders over here who are excited to code what you need, That's what we can manifest with radical collective intelligence. So that's why that's the imperative. Let us create this super intelligence. Let's manifest it, and it will guide us. We no longer have to rely on the constraints of our own cranium and our own culture, national culture, family culture, right? School culture. Oh, I'm a Berkeley grad, so I think this way. We can bust out of all these constraints, right? And take it. And once it starts going exponential like that, because this super intelligence that'll help bring in more and more people and get us more and more connected, that then takes it to the next level and the next level and the next level. It can be exponentially growing. We have no clue what we can co-create if we all get together under the principles of radical collective intelligence. So
I'm actually, I'm talking to the people who did Holochain. The Holochain community, I think, has to create an operating system for our phones, the Android equivalent on Holochain. So that's what I'm asking them to do, and then so that this becomes the center of your whole collective intelligence. So you have collected all of your all of the great information for you and put it together so that it helps you become much smarter than you really are, right? So
exactly, and then helps us create this new intelligence that doesn't even exist yet, that will just be orders of magnitude smarter than the smartest collaborations in human history. Whether it's NASA, the Soviet Union in World War II, you name it. So bring in the Holochain folks to join this conversation. And then when they meet the rest of us and say, wow, this is where the magic happens.
I'll connect you with the philosopher behind Holochain.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. That's exactly what we need. Okay. Wow. Beautiful. Thank you, Salish. Anyway, I know you got to go. So thanks so much. Really excited to see you next week. And awesome. Beautiful. All right.
And you're Dr. Rao, when's your next show going to be on that I could join?
My next one is every month. It's the second Saturday of every month.
Oh, second Saturday. Okay.
I think it will be May 9th or something like that, the next one.
Do you send out notices? I don't think I'm on it.
I do send out notices. Did you register?
I may not have. I don't think I did.
Okay.
So where do I go register?
There's a banner on our home page, on the Climate Healers homepage. If you click on the banner, it'll take you to the registration site.
Okay. Climate Healers. I'll go there.
But I'll add you.
Huh?
I will add you to the mailing list.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Right on. So what was that website again?
ClimateHealers.org.
Oh yeah, ClimateHealers.org. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, wonderful. I think this is a good stopping point. I'm going to stop recording unless either of you has anything more you'd like to add while we're recording.
No, I have to get going. Thank you very much.
All right, wonderful. I'll stop recording now, and we can comment if you'd like for a couple of minutes after, whoever wants to stay. And thank you all for watching and participating. Even if you're just watching, you're part of the collective intelligence. So keep watching, keep commenting, and consider joining us live. Thank you all so much. Adam, Salish, everyone who's been on today and everyone who's watching. Love you all. Thank you. And let's keep this party happening. Appreciate y'all. Thanks so much. See you next time.